Shabba ding dong.
There we go. We're all here in internet amphitheater land. Thanks to the wonderful power of Skype.
And together mode.
And in together mode, yeah. Look at us, we're looking so good, looking all fancy. So Justin had this idea to be like, hey, we should get together as much as we can, and we'll do like we'll have a discussion about everybody's top albums. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. So everyone's got a list of 5. I'm hoping, maybe less than. Oh, I didn't have a pinky there. 5 albums that they picked from 2020, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a bit of a game out of it for no actual points and nothing but bragging rights. And so the way it works is we'll start probably with how everyone's laid out. So we'll start with like Justin, Andrew, Alex, myself, and then Alyssa, and everyone will go through and you'll name an album that's on your list, and if somebody else has the album, you don't get any points. Now,
I like that.
The goal here is not really to like win. The goal here is just to talk about different music. So, but I just thought we'd make it a little fun. Say it again, Andrew.
It's also to win, right? That's the
goal.
It's
also to win.
Always the goal.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that either Alex or Justin will win. That's where my bets are.
So the person with the least points gets kicked out of the band? Is that
yes.
What's happening?
Oh no! What if I only have 3 albums that I came here with?
Yeah. So just for starters, because this is the first time that anyone has like seen us, or a lot of people will have seen us all in one room before. Can we go through the order and just explain like who you are and what you play?
Yeah, totally.
So that's starting with you, Just.
Okay, so I'm Jaff, and I play drums and electronic percussion in Robot Philosopher. And I no longer play keyboards, which is fantastic, because now we have someone that can actually do it properly.
Yeah.
I'm Andrew. I play guitar with Andrew, and we are great together. We sound amazing together, and he's an amazing player too.
Stop it.
I'm Alex, and I'm the newest member of Robot Philosopher. I play keyboards, and newest role that I have is also doing all the mixing. So
yeah, which we're very excited about.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'm Andrew, or Janglez. I play all the other guitars that Andrew doesn't want to, because he doesn't want to. And we're working really well together. Very excited to have everyone here. And that leaves last, but certainly not least,
Alyssa. Hi. I play bass guitar, and I had never touched a 6-string before joining this band, and now I also have a 5-string. So it's good. It's fun.
Yeah. So I guess we'll get started with Justin on. You can pick any album off of your list. All you have to do is just explain what it is.
Okay.
And see who else has it. Any album on your list.
So if someone doesn't have it, does he just continue?
Yeah, so he'll say it and we'll see if anyone has it.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to start with one that I'm pretty sure more people are going to have. So that would be Synth Sketches Volume 1.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah, I have that as an honorable mention release.
You don't get honorable mentions?
What is this honorable mentions nonsense?
Actually, that's a lie. I have one honorable mention.
Wow.
Just in case we ran out of talking points.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
Okay, anyway, I also have Synth Sketches.
Yeah.
It almost got beat out by another album, but it's on my list. So this is, of course, Synth Sketches Volume 1 by our very own Alex. I got a point to him. Yeah. So tell me about it.
Okay, so all right, so I'll talk a bit about it. Yeah, so this is Alex's second solo EP he released this year. The first one was Vibe City, and it was excellent. And I played it around my house a lot while I was like vacuuming and stuff like that. It's got really a lot of like just fun beats and a lot of fun jams on it. But something about Synth Sketches, like the last couple of weeks before Christmas break, I would listen to it in the car on my way to work, and it's like the perfect length because it ends like just like if traffic's good, just as I'm rolling in, it's like boom, it's done. And just every song on there, I'm like, man, I want to like steal this and turn it into a post-rock song. It's just like the melodies are so well chosen, and like it's simplistic in that it's just Alex, but like the note choices and the patches are just so beautifully chosen. I'm like, man, I'm so happy this guy's in my band. I'm glad that we have a keyboard player of this caliber. So I would be remiss if something that good didn't make it on my list.
Yeah, for me it was I liked Vibe City as well, but for me Synth Sketches was I listen to it while I work, like while I'm doing writing or stuff like that, because I mean, I wish it was longer, not the songs, but that there was more of it. But I'm assuming because it's volume 1, there will be a volume 2. But
there is a volume 2. It's in the works. It'll probably
perfect.
come out like February.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. For me, this one was just like awesome to listen to while I was working, because I didn't have to focus on it, but it would like set the mood of like whatever I was trying to do. So when I was focusing on other things, specifically writing, it was the perfect thing to have. Whereas Vibe City required more of my attention, and so I just like it was good. It just I wasn't listening to it all the time, so that's why Synth Sketches made it on for me. It was post rock.
It's on my honorable mentions because I wasn't sure if it was
you
favoritism.
all have honorable mentions?
Well, no, I did because I wasn't sure if it would be favoritism to include something from a band member.
Is it something you listened to a lot? Like there was the only rules I gave were it had to be released this year and it couldn't be a re-release.
Well, it's on my playlist that I listen to like when it's same thing working.
Yeah. Well, there you
go. I do the same thing as Justin, where I'll listen to it either at work or on my drive home, because like he said, it's just, or like Andrew said, it's just not something that requires a lot of attention, and it sets the mood. It gives it. I don't know what it is. It just makes me focus more.
When I say like it doesn't require attention, what I mean isn't that like I'm not paying attention. What I mean is that you get lost in it.
No, it's like background music in a game. It's written to make you focus on stuff.
Yeah, or set a mood or like an emotion. Yeah, it's really cool. Anything you want to add about your album as we talk about it around you, Alex?
Why do you love your album, Alex?
I liked it because it was fairly easy to create. Everything that I put on it was pretty much all done in one take. I didn't use a metronome or anything, so that's how it gets a really free-flowing feel to it. So it was really sort of going through the various different synths I have and finding something, and a sound tends to inspire me to create something. So I'm scrolling through it and I find this really interesting preset. I tweak it a little bit to give it a bit of extra spice or whatnot. And then I start playing, and it just sort of creates itself. And that's basically how all the songs got created. Was.
That's cool.
Nice. Andrew, your album.
One of my albums. I'll give one that probably a lot of people have too. Terminal Velocity by John Petrucci.
That's my honorable mention.
You don't have that, Josh?
No. Another one of mine. I thought about it, but I don't listen to it often enough to really justify it.
Yeah, it's one of my honorable mentions. I had 2.
What is this?
So he gets a point for that.
I do get a point.
He still gets 5 for that. That puts Andrew in the lead.
No honorable mentions. You guys suck.
Tell us about. No, that still puts Andrew in the lead. He still has 1 point.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
Go on, Andrew.
I don't know. For me, it's been an album that's been long awaited by a lot of fans, and it has just top tier guitar playing, top tier drumming, because it's basically reunification between Portnoy and Petrucci, and it's just a top tier album, top tier guitar playing, top tier drumming. That's all I can really say about it.
Yeah, great follow up to
Suspended
Animation. Yeah,
absolutely.
Which I preferred Suspended Animation, but I liked this one too.
Suspended Animation I found was a bit more cohesive. This one kind of goes through a bit like some different genres, which is good, but Suspended Animation just kind of, the songs sort of flowed better together, I thought.
I kind of liked that he explored different genres. Like Happy Song was like pure pop, punk, prog, and it was just something I've never heard before from an
I have
album.
a problem with that song.
What?
The problem is because when he was first demoing that song, it was called Cloud 10, a play on the idea of like Cloud 9, and that's a much better name than Happy Song. I'm sorry.
That's valid, but I like the name, and I like that the
It's a great song.
punk
Great
part
song.
is basically like Scotty doesn't know.
Mm.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same tune.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about Terminal Velocity?
And anyone else?
Yeah, it was on my honorable mentions list. I know. Wait for Justin's head to explode on that one. But yeah, definitely enjoy it. But like Alyssa said, it's not something I listen to a huge amount for it to make it into the top 5. But no, I think everything that's being said so far about it really sums up my opinions on it as well.
Yeah, there were 2 songs on it that I listen to more regularly, but the rest of it just is on one of my playlists that it occasionally plays, but it's not something I look for right now.
That's fair.
Alex, hit us up with an album.
All right, well, I feel like this is going to be something a lot of other Robot Philosopher members have on their list, but Haken's Virus album.
Yeah. I have that.
Nope, didn't make it on for me.
Oh,
Nope.
only. It wasn't even an honorable mention for me, but only Andrew has it, so no point for Alex. But why don't you guys go ahead?
Yeah, well, I mean, right out of the gates with the song Prosthetic, this record just hits you in the face with raw prog aggression. I mean, I really love how the drums are produced on this record. It's got so much punch and heft to it. It rivals the production of Train of Thought by Dream Theater, in my opinion, for the punchiness in your face. And it's got some real range to it as well, just in the style of Haken. I like in Carousel, you've got a ton of really soft sections, contrast with super heavy, just sort of like, 10 seconds of soft, and then it goes right into heavy, and then back in, but it works. Like, that's something that I find that when some bands try it, it doesn't work at all. It sort of flops, but Haken really pulls it off well. And I really like how subtle the keyboard arrangement or orchestration is in this album. You've got some bells here and there that accentuate some lines, but for the most part, it's a lot of pad and choral stuff that really just supports all the other instruments, and that's really nice. I find in a lot of prog music, the keyboardist tends to just sort of go really in your face and rival the guitars for that kind of stuff, but with this, it's more sort of subdued, which is really cool. And I really like how they do some callbacks to stuff in the mountain, like Messiah Complex 3 has some really sick stuff. And so it's got some in both 3 and 4. You've got some callbacks, that kind of. I mean, I'm not a great singer, but I think you guys will understand what I'm.
That solo section from the Cockroach King.
Yeah, very cool.
And even the last song, Ectobius Rex, has that like bum bum ba ba da 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 da.
Yeah, but really, really cool callbacks to a really phenomenal song by Haken. And my favorite song of the record, it's a tough one for me, but I think Invasion is my favorite, just with all the harmonies and how nice the melodies are in it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Virus by Haken and why it made it into my top 5.
Yeah, pretty much. You hit.
That was a great analysis, Alex.
He has them all written down. I know he does.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I give it a lot of thought. I'm like, well, why are these in my top 5?
Yeah.
You definitely hit the nail on the head with that, and like the callbacks that they have to Cockroach King. I mean, it's arguably one of their best songs, and for them to call back to it is a really good thing for the fans, I think. To say, hey, look at that, and yeah, I mean, I can't really add anything onto that. That was really good.
Yeah.
And of course, it wouldn't be endorsed by another member of Robot Philosopher. It didn't have a 5-part song in it.
That's true.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
It almost made it on my honorable mentions because I listened to Prosthetic probably too much than I should.
That was a great song.
Like it's kick ass. I love it, but the rest of the album just isn't a repeat for me, I guess.
The only song that I found myself coming back to consistently was part 5, which was Ectobius Rex. I found that riff was like that big opening chords and then that crushing riff was awesome. And then I love that line that I sung earlier, which is a callback to the Cockroach King. But that one song does not an amazing album make, but great song.
Yeah, for me, I liked it better than Vector, than the album that came before it. But like for me as a listener, what I was kind of missing, there's that the keys kind of took a bit more of a back seat, which is what I really liked about Haken. Like my favorite Haken album is The Mountain. I know Janglez, I know yours is Visions, but like and Visions in like Mountain era Haken, like the keyboard is very, even Affinity, like the keyboards are really pronounced. They do some really good melodies, and for me, for my listening and kind of what I took away from it is like there's a lot of like these kind of neo-genty riffs, which is great, but it's not why I listen to Haken for that kind of stuff. I mean, it's cool for them to kind of explore that new avenue of the band, but I miss that kind of like classy prog kind of keyboard. I felt that was just kind of missing from these last two.
Yeah. Anybody else on Virus, not Visions? Cool. I'm going to hit up with my first one, which I think would come as no surprise to anybody who knows me, which is Impulse Voices by Pliny.
Yeah. I don't have that one, but...
Does anyone else have that on the list?
I have to admit that I didn't listen to it.
Oh, well, I mean, that's fine, but that's a point for me. I'm surprised that nobody else had Impulse Voices on their list. No. That's my album of the year.
I've actually never listened to Pliny before.
You should. He's dope.
Pliny is my all-time favorite. I mean, I'm going to do a whole analysis. Pliny is my all-time favorite guitar player. And at first, when this album came out, it came out with the first single, which was... now I'm blanking. What was the first single, Justin?
I'll tell you someday.
Yeah, I'll tell you someday. Which it came out, and I was like, oh, this is exactly what I want. And then we got the second single, which was Papilio, which was like super heavy and weird. And I gotta say that I really liked both of them. They were very, very different. And then when the whole album came out, at first I was very disappointed. And then I was like, okay, it's probably not gonna be my album of the year, but it's really, really good. And then I went and listened to all the other albums of the year. And I was like, yo, this one's really good, and this one's really good. And I came across some other ones that, some of my honorable mentions. And then I always just kept coming back to Pliny. The way he writes is so happy and majestic and magical. He makes me feel good, even when he's playing heavy. The guitar lines are like always these beautiful solos that are hummable and easily recognizable. I don't know what he does for production, but... Simon Grove, who plays bass for him, always lays down these wicked grooves that just have such a tone. Chris Ellison is killing it on the drums. I have nothing but good things to say about Pliny as an artist. This isn't my favorite Pliny album, but holy shit, every time I come back to it, it's just unreal. I love the themes in Last Call, but I gotta say, like, his 7-minute epic, which is the Glass Bead Game, is unreal. Great song. Great album.
Yeah, I have to chime in with, so if we were allowed to do a top 10, this album would have made it on there for sure.
So it's an honorable mention?
No, it's not, because I didn't have any honorable mentions.
You just said if you had a top 10. Yeah. You just said if you had a top 10 that this would have made it on there. That sounds to me like an honorable mention.
It sounds like an honorable mention, Jeff.
Sure. But I will double up on, just from a drumming perspective, from Chris Allison. Troy Wright, who did a lot of Pliny's earlier works, is a fantastic drummer in his own right. But Chris Allison has this real more jazzy sensibility to him that I think blends better with Pliny's writing. And I was really impressed by this album because it was they got to do Sunhead together, and now they've done this one. I would highly recommend that literally all of you listen to more Pliny, because he is a fantastic artist. And I always feel like, in terms of our genre of the instrumental prog, I always feel like he's kind of 2 steps ahead of everyone, and then everyone tries to kind of catch up, and then it's same thing with Animals as Leaders, right? Animals as Leaders drops an album and everyone's like, oh, we gotta I want to do stuff like that. And then by the time we all kind of catch up, they're like, well, we're already here working on the next big thing that's going to blow everybody's mind.
Yeah, that's what's cool about Pliny, is he drops these wicked gent albums, but they have this musicality to them, this melodic and harmonic quality that nobody else has. We went super genty hardcore breakdown, and Pliny was releasing his trilogies, which were highly musical. So yeah. Alyssa?
Okay, so this might be on someone else's list, but Caligula's Horse.
Yeah.
Rise Radiant.
Yeah. It's on mine as well.
Yeah. I come back to it so often, at least a couple times a week.
Okay.
Like it's just really good. Like from top to bottom, just listening to it just all the way through. Like it's good. I like it.
Give us
I
like
don't
a
know what
full
else to say.
analysis.
I don't really have a full analysis. I was told we didn't need to actually write any like crazy things about this. This
We
is the
weren't
only time
supposed
that
to,
I don't
Alex.
come here with like a big pile of notes handwritten. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, I
They're
was
not
told we
handwritten,
were only
they're
allowed
typed.
5 albums, and yet everyone's got honorable mentions. So, like, what are we even all
You
doing
have
here?
honorable mentions too. I this is again not my favorite Caligula's Horse album. I prefer In Contact. I just thought thematically In Contact really resonated with me. However, Rise Radiant has some killer songs on it, like that I come back to, and I'll be sitting there dicking around doing something else, and I'll be humming a line to myself, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's Caligula's Horse. That's the new album. So like clearly it's stuck with me. So
The Ascent, it's stuck in my head, especially with like the Mandalorian happening, and so he's got his saying, "This is the way," right? Or it's not his, but whatever.
Yeah.
And in the Ascent, they say like, "This is the way," and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's just always in my head."
Yeah.
for me, the Valkyrie was the one where I was like, Valkyrie
That
and
one,
Salt.
yeah.
I was constantly
that
coming
one's
back to those
awesome.
two.
Yeah. See, for me, Rise Radiant is the first Caligula's Horse album that actually like stuck with me. The other ones I had heard, like I've got their whole discography now, and I'm like, yeah, it's good. Like I get it, I understand it. Like there's other bands of this sort of genre that I like a little better, but this was the first one I was like, ooh, I really like this. Maybe because it's a bit more like streamlined a bit, but I really, really dug it. Tempest, Ocean Rise, Slow Violence. Like I listen to
Slow
those songs
Violence.
repeatedly. They are the vocals are spectacular. I
Always,
like
yeah.
whoever the vocalist is does an amazing job. Love
Yeah,
it.
I will say that as much as I really liked In Contact for its like overall thematic and songwriting, I think the vocals on Rise Radiant are like next level.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're awesome. They're phenomenal.
Back to you, Justin.
Okay, so this is going to be one that I'd be very surprised if anyone had on their list. So this is an EP called Passages, and it's by a band from India called the Pineapple Express. Not to be confused with Pineapple Thief. This is Pineapple Express.
So you mean like the weed people?
I mean,
the movie?
Yeah.
No,
Pineapple
it's not
Express.
like the
No.
movie at all.
That
but,
might
like,
be where they got their name.
I don't think so, but like, sure, okay, I
Maybe.
guess.
Yeah. No, I don't have them.
No, I don't have them either.
Okay.
Look at
So,
Justin being such a hipster.
I know. So bad of me. But that's my first point. That's good. So yeah, for me, I came across this EP. I don't even know. I think either like Metal Injection or Metal Sucks had it as like a recommended album, and it said, fusion prog from India. So I was like, wow, like that sounds like something I would really enjoy. So it's a 4-song EP, and this is a really, really talented band. And so they've got, like I was saying, so they've got kind of like a genty prog vibe, but it's all like clean vocals, and their keyboard player also like raps, and they do like their lyrics are in different languages, and they have like a full-time like flautist who also plays in the band. So it's a really interesting blend of like a lot of different elements, and like I've never heard any other music that's like this. So I think it comes together very well, and it's very energetic. So that's another, similar to Synth Sketches. Like for when that album came out, I was like, this is a perfect car ride to work album, and always got me in a really good mood for work. So when I think back to 2020, definitely going to think of Passages by the Pineapple Express.
Cool.
Very nice.
That's a point for you. So far, just to we're at Justin's at 1 point, Andrew's at 1 point, and Janglez is at 1 point. Cool.
And I think I'm going to get another point here. I'd be surprised if someone had this. Hunter Gatherer by Avatar.
No.
No? So, Avatar is this this Swedish, I would call them heavy metal, death metal band. And as you guys could probably tell by some of my riffs, that I'm very influenced by that kind of music. And they released this album during the first lockdown, and it's a strong callback to their roots. It's a strong callback to how they originally used to write. It's not a concept album like they had before, but that's okay because it's just a very strong album from front to back. It's just a great album. Yeah.
And it's
Nice.
like super like melodic death metal heavy stuff.
Pretty
from what I know
much,
of
yeah.
Avatar. Yeah, so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Alex?
definitely need to release an album called Last Airbender at some
You,
point.
we definitely need to release an album where Justin shuts the fuck up. I think we should have an entire album with no percussion on it.
But it's still like instrumental prog. It's just
Yeah,
there's
it's
no
just
drums.
zero percussion. Alex, you're up.
Yeah, so I'd be surprised if someone else has this on their list, but it's a small local band called Unkind Skies, and they released an
I
EP
don't
called
have
UV. So does anyone have this on their
Do
list?
you know them, Andrew? You went, oh.
No. I'm just being a douche.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, so I know the guitarist in the band, Reese. He's a super cool guy, and their band is really talented. I've seen them live a few times, and I'm really glad they were able to release an EP this year. So lots of really cool guitar lines, great vocal harmonies. I think my favorite song on the album is "Wait Till You Wake." There's this really melt your face guitar solo right near the end of it. It's just super dope. And there's some just really nice melodic guitar hooks as well, like the guitar hook in the song Hades on it. It's chill, but yet it's still full of energy. So it's just really, really nice. And lots of fun vocal harmonies on the record as well. But yeah, definitely in my top 5 of the year.
Full disclosure, did you mix this one?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
Is the guitarist in that band the guitarist who did the solo on Vibe City, or is that?
He is. Yep, that's
Hey!
that's the same race. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's
very
why I
good.
wondered if you were the one who mixed this album as well.
Mm-hmm.
No. I had no input at all on the creation of this album.
Because, like, I would have been fine with that. Like, even though Alyssa was like, are we allowed to pick people who are, like, related to... if you had been like, hey, the best album of this year was Vibe City. It was me. I did it. I'm the greatest. I would have been fine with that.
You're welcome, everybody. I saved 2020 for my music.
I'm just gonna pat myself on the back and award
Exactly.
myself a trophy.
Yeah. You can't see it, but underneath this, I'm not wearing any pants, and I'm just jacking it. That's how... anyway, moving on. My next one is Arch Echo released an EP called Story 1, and it was so close. I don't know, does anyone else have it? Arch Echo Story 1? No? It was so close to being release of the year for me, but Pliny just beat it out. I found that Pliny's songs on Impulse Voices were just like stronger individually, whereas Story felt like it was probably maybe just not long enough because it was an EP, but the album opener, which is called To the Moon, I mean, one of my favorite games of all time is called To the Moon, so that's already just like an emotional tag, but then the album opens up and it's like, bow down, 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 and every time I'm just like, I'm fucking pumped now. I'm like, it's 4 a.m. and I should be sleeping, and I'm fucking pumped now. Like, thank you, Arch Echo. I was also lucky enough to watch the live release of this on YouTube and like follow along with the 5 guys from Arch Echo as they listened to it for the first time through on the release day, and it was just such a fun time. The album really rocks and chills, and Arch Echo is one of those bands that's like experimenting. It reminds me of like a progression of what Liquid Tension Experiment would be if they were writing like coherent songs instead of just jamming. That's what I feel like Arch Echo is, and it's just like, this is exactly what we need in a liquid tensionless world, which we no longer live in, but like, that's what I need, and that's what Arch Echo gives me, and thank you to them. So, yeah.
I will add that Arch Echo is a fantastic band with absolutely phenomenal musicians.
And nice dudes, too.
Yes, very nice dudes as well. And I did like Story 1 more than... Is it You Won't Believe What Happens Next?
Yeah, You Won't Believe What Happens Next, yeah.
Yeah, I did like this one more because what I missed from the first Arch Echo album was they had really catchy like keyboard leads and guitar leads, which I found wasn't as abundant on the second one, but I felt was more in this one.
Yeah.
So I did like it more than that one, and again, it probably would have been a special or an honorable mention had I known we were allowed to include those, but it wasn't really good. I did enjoy it.
So
So
what
that's-
you're saying
that's
is
2 points
it
for
is
me.
An honorable mention.
Yeah.
Who else has 2 points?
I do.
Oh,
I
high five.
No, I don't yet.
You
No.
have one. Yeah,
I've
Justin.
got one. I got
Yeah.
one.
Okay. Alyssa.
Okay. This one's not something that I would normally listen to, but because I had already been listening to The Deer Hunter, and Casey, I can't pronounce his last name, decided to start up another side project, and it's like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's not something I would normally listen to, but because I was following him, I found it, and it's called Honorary Astronaut EP1. Or episode 1. I'm not really sure what it's supposed to stand for, but it's a really great, like, 5 songs, just very atmospheric. I want to say that might be the wrong adjective. I don't know. I didn't. I should have written notes.
We weren't supposed to, though.
Yeah.
I said
well,
you didn't
it's
have to.
Yeah. So if anyone is
semantics
familiar
Ho,
with The Deer Hunter or Casey's other work, like, I almost want to call it, like, I don't know, historical. Like, it's really it's good. But then with this new side project, he kind of went on like a sci-fi. He took a sci-fi turn, and so now it's, instead of being like The Deer Hunter, where he's talking about World War II and World War I, it's now like an astronaut going off into space, and it's really cool. It's a lot of fun to listen to.
So it's a space deer hunter.
Space Deer Hunter, but I've had to keep telling myself not to compare it to The Deer Hunter because they are completely different projects. It's the only thing it's just Casey is, consistent throughout. But anyways, very good.
Nice.
Very fun to listen to, and I love it. So
There you go. Justin, back to you.
Okay, so on the theme of pineapples, so now one of my getting into like full albums is Versions of the Truth by the Pineapple Thief.
I don't have that.
I don't have it
Very
either,
cool.
but I've heard the singles, but I haven't heard the full album yet.
Yeah, the album is really, really good. Anything with Gavin Harrison on it, on drums, is guaranteed to be absolutely amazing, regardless of what it is, because he's just that caliber of a musician. Getting to see these guys live was also a really, really good experience. Similar to Janglez, how you were saying, how like Arch Echo is kind of what we need in a liquid tension experiment-less world. The Pineapple Thief is kind of like what we need in a porcupine tree less world, because it really fills that void in very well.
I was vibe with that.
Yeah, I was like, it's good, kind of like soft prog rock, I guess you could kind of say, but like they just have such good texture, such good melodies, and their songs can be interpreted in like a lot of different ways. And so, like, a lot of the time I feel like on a base level, like the singer is kind of talking about relationships, but there's some lyrics that you can interpret in different ways. Like, I was driving to work a couple of weeks ago before the schools shut down for winter break. And there's this one song where the chorus is just, if we don't stop this now, there won't be a second chance. And I was like, oh, frig, if 2020 was a mood, like, it just kind of hit me in that new way. I was like, oh, boy. Dang. And I was like, yep, that's got to go on the list then, because that was such a good emote. But like, yeah, really great songs, and I hope Gavin continues to make music with these guys. I mean, anything Gavin Harrison is on, just go buy it. Because
So what you're telling me is this is very little to do with like the Pineapple Thief and more to do with Gavin Harrison.
Well, Gavin Harrison's a big part of it, and you should just buy anything that has Gavin Harrison on it, because he's just like, he's one of the best drummers in the world right now.
It's true.
So
when they tour, they're one of the bands. When they tour, they go like the Pineapple Thief featuring Gavin Harrison.
Gavin Harrison.
Yeah, they do
So
that. The same way like it's the Neil
that's-
Morris Band featuring Mike Portnoy.
Yeah.
That's one of Justin's long ways around of saying yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Andrew.
So my next one is by a band named Mr. Bungle, and it's a new album that was released called The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. And and this album is pure thrash metal. It's just a thrash metal album that should have been released in the 80s that is released in 2020. And the reason it's like that is because it was originally written in 1984 and just gotten around to recording now.
Wow.
Absolutely. And Scott Ian is not a normal member of Mr. Bungle, but he is playing guitar on it. Dave Lombardo of Slayer is drumming on it. Mike Patton is just one of the most versatile and best vocalists I've ever heard in my life. And it's just pure thrash metal. Yeah, that's about it.
Nice. Yeah, I've known Mr. Bungle for a while, but the only song I've heard is the one that you showed us, and you were like, "Yo, this is awesome. We should play it." Yeah.
It's if anyone likes thrash metal, then absolutely listen to it, because it does have its own Mr. Bungle avant-garde flair where they go into a whole, I don't even know how to say it, like Mexican sounding song. I don't know.
Yeah, that mariachi feel.
Yeah, mariachi, that's the word.
Alex?
All right, so we're exiting out of my my rock and prog section of my top 5, and we're entering into the electronic section of my top 5 with Tame Impala's album The Slow Rush.
I didn't even know Tame Impala released an album.
It was in February, I believe, is when they released an album in 2020. I know it feels like it happened in 2019, but I love Tame Impala because they use all sorts of really interesting production techniques on all their songs. Like, for instance, in the first song, One More Year, the voice drone, if you pay attention to it, listen to it closely, it's actually saying one more year throughout the whole song.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is really cool. Really neat. Borderline is a great song, and it has the most plays on Spotify out of all the songs, and there's lots of little great synth licks, like the solo in the bridge and Posthumous Forgiveness. Fantastic little synth solo and build-up throughout the bridge. And there's so many great groovy bass lines that are and just flat-out grooves, like the bass in Is It True? Total bop. Awesome. Alyssa, you should learn it. Super,
All right,
super fun.
Yo, I guarantee he has Alyssa, you should learn it right there in his notes.
No, I don't have that written. I just... but yeah, it's called "Is It True" by Tame Impala from the album Slow Rush, and my favorite song out of all of them, it has to be "Lost in Yesterday." Great bass line, great vocal hooks, great harmonies, great synths, just great everything. Checks all the boxes. So that's one of my top 5 for 2020.
So mine. Let me see here. We've done. I think I only have one more left. We've done Rise Radiant, Pliny, Alex, or McVittie, Archeco. Yeah, I only have one more left, which is I'm also going into my electronic, versions, or I guess part of this video, which mine was the brand new Clipping album, which was released in October, which is called Visions of Bodies Being Burned. I don't know if anybody else knows Clipping. Okay, Clipping is like this awesome industrial noise rap group featuring David Diggs who of course is now famous from Hamilton, but Clipping is like him with 2 other dudes who have PhDs in like noise art and musique concrète, and they like basically create these awesome grooves out of like samples and whatnot, out of things they find like gunshots and anyway, in 2019 they released an album called Not Red at the Fang. What is it? I can't remember what it's called. It'll come to me in a second. Anyway, this is like the sequel to that. They were built as 2 albums designed to tell a story, and so it's all horrorcore. Like, and I hate horror movies, but this sets the mood so well. Some of my favorite songs are Eaten Alive, which is basically like telling the story about what it's like to be in a swamp, like a horror movie swamp with alligators and whatnot. There's another album called 96 Nev Campbell, which is basically what a horror movie looks like from the perspective of the final girl, who, if anyone remembers like slasher movies, and it's about how like in slasher movies the final girl like usually winds up killing the slasher, and so it's just like from her perspective, like you come up here talking that shit and now you gonna have to die about it, and it's just so fun. Like David Diggs raps so fast, and the noise and industrial quality on this album is unreal. It was so good. I wish I could remember the name of the album that came before this. There existed an Addiction to Blood. That's what it was called. And it was good, but Visions of Bodies Being Burned is just so much better to me. So yeah.
I'm surprised This Will Destroy You was not on your list.
I didn't know they released something this year.
They have an
either.
album called
Vespertine,
that was released in 2020.
Okay, well, I like This Will Destroy You. I'll have to give it a listen, but for me, like older This Will Destroy is where it's at. I really like the self-titled, and I really like Tunnel
Young
Blanket,
Mountain.
and I really like Young Mountain.
Oh, Tunnel Blanket is such a good album.
Oh, and I really like New Others Part 1. Those are like my tops. So I'll have to listen to Vespertine. I didn't know that came. I think Hammock had an album that came out this year too. So I'll have to check that out.
Hammock had a couple, it felt like.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for me. So I think I have 3 points total.
Very nice.
Yeah. Alyssa?
Okay, this is also my last one. And another one that I really wouldn't have listened to on my own, but someone recommended it to me, and it was Nothing But Thieves, Moral Panic.
I never even heard of that.
So I think they're a little bit more like, I want to call them pop, but they're not like that pop. I don't know. It was like another like moody album. No, it was a full length one, and all the way through, just I kept coming back to it, and there was a couple songs that I just had on repeat. Like Phobia was a really good one. Words.
Well, that's cool. I've never heard of them, so.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I actually found out about them a couple of years ago from one of their other album releases, and I kind of forgot about them. And then one of my friends was like, "Hey, did you hear about their new album?" And I was like, "What? I forgot about them." And it was good. It was good.
Cool.
They're great.
Who else still has? So Alyssa and I are done. Who else still has some albums on their list?
I got one.
I have one more.
Okay,
I've
so
got
we'll go.
two more.
Oh, two more. Okay, so we'll start with Justin.
Okay, so the final album on my list is Palimpsest by Protest the Hero.
Was that your top?
I don't know if I would consider it, like, I didn't really have like a top album, I don't think.
Yeah, I didn't.
if
I also
had to-
said I didn't really want that either because it's hard because it's just favorites, and I have my favorites, but it's hard to pick just like this is the best one.
Yeah. So for me, like, Protest the Hero, like, ever since Arif left, it's like, because he was such a big component in the writing of Kazaya and Fortress, which in my opinion are like perfect albums in their own right. And then like you had you had Skrillex, and then you had the one that came after that, which is eluding me right now.
The Deep Sea Volition.
Volition,
Oh,
yes,
right.
thank you. So they've been slowly kind of finding their feet, and like they just keep getting kind of better and better. They had Pacific Myth, which had a bunch of songs on it that I really dug. So this one had a lot of energy behind it, a lot of like passion, and you could kind of tell because going into the recording of this one, Rhodey Walker, their vocalist, like nearly blew out his voice. So actually, Janglez and I had gone to see the 10th anniversary of Fortress.
Great show.
And they almost didn't, phenomenal show, but they almost didn't play. Rhodey came on about 10 minutes before. He's like, "Hey everyone, just so you know, I blew up my voice last night. I'm going to try my best to sing for you, but we're going to cut the encore. We're just going to focus on Fortress, and I'm going to try my best to get through it." And at first we thought he was joking, but then it was like, oh no, like he's being dead serious.
He's being dead
like,
serious.
Oh my gosh.
And it was still an amazing show, even without the encore. It was still just like boom, 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 like all of Fortress. Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this one's got it's got a lot of catchy stuff, but they also they incorporated a lot of there's a lot of string sections on this album as well that kind of fleshes out the music and adds a lot of extra dimensions to it. And yeah, and it's good when Rhodey can kind of focus on a subject that he really is passionate about, and so there's a lot of themes on this record of past glories and kind of righting wrongs and all that sort of stuff. And I had to actually look up what a palimpsest is, because when I first saw the title, I was like, "What the heck is that?"
You should go to a doctor about that.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was like, is that like a boil or something that you get on the bottom of your armpit? Like, what the hell was that? But it turns out that a palimpsest is a piece of paper that you've erased something off of to write something else on, but you can still see remnants of what was written on it before.
Interesting.
So it's kind of got that revisionist history kind of vibe about it.
Very cool.
Yeah, Palimpsest by Protest. That was the final one on my list.
Wow.
Andrew.
So for me, this was my top album. I keep going back to it time and time again, probably once every week or two. It's Post-Human Survival Horror by Bring Me the Horizon. It was EP that was released this year by them. And it was it's their best album that's been put out in the past 5 years. They really drifted toward this electronic pop sound, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It just wasn't them. Anyway, so this album, the amount of guest stars they have on this album, they have Baby Metal
Oh, and tight.
featured in a song, the song Kingslayer, which I stand by this, that it could be the intro to a anime. Like, this song is just so cool. It could be the intro to any anime you can find. They have Amy Lee as a guest star on it. They have Youngblood on it. They have Nova Twins on it. So they have a lot of really high profile guest stars. And they also have Mick Gordon, who made all the samples for this album.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is really cool because the Doom soundtrack, I know you have a whole thing on Doom, Andrew. And
it's called a hard-on. That's what I have for it.
Yeah, so he wrote, or he made all the samples for the album that Justin Fish, their keyboardist, uses. And it just sounds like, I don't know, Doom X Bring Me the Horizon. It's really cool. It's
That's awesome.
One of my favorite albums ever, I'll say, actually.
Nice.
I should give it a listen because I kind of gave up on Bring Me the Horizon.
After
Yeah.
or after what is it? The album after, what is it?
I can't remember.
I mean, it's always great when you like hear about bands that you haven't heard of in a while, or like I mean, I haven't listened to Protest the Hero in a long time, but if Justin says like there's something there, then like, I mean, if anything, if the only thing I'm getting out of this time, other than spending time with you guys, is like more music to listen to, which is never a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing I wanted to say, because I remember reading the story about how Amy Lee wound up on this album, was because I guess on the last record, there was a song that has like, it's either a riff or a melody that's like straight up like just copy and pasted from an Evanescence song, but I like not intentionally. So kind of people were making a stink about it. I was like, oh, like you totally ripped them off. And to the credit from the dudes in Bring the Horizon, they're like, our bad, like we didn't mean to, like whether we just kind of did it subconsciously because we like Evanescence or we just heard the song a lot, like we're sorry.
She like her band actually sued them because
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And what they came up with through court was that she gets featured in a song because she's such a big fan of Bring Me the Horizon as well, that for her that was a good compromise.
That's
okay,
tight.
fair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now we have 2 back-to-backs from Alex. So take us away. Wow us with your in-depth analysis.
All right, so my second last album of the year is by a band called Caribou. They released a new album called Suddenly, and fantastic album. I'm a real sucker for interesting electronic music, and Caribou always delivers on this front. I saw them live a few years ago. They're really phenomenal. They made heavy use of live looping and going around the stage and playing various different instruments. Very, very neat. They also utilize a lot of interesting production techniques, which is always a big checkbox for me when it comes to albums and songs, like using a tape warble effect on an acoustic piano to get some really interesting like slowdowns and speed ups to change the pitch and timbre of the piano. Lots of really interesting synthesizer solos, like there's a cool synth solo on the song You and I on it. And I have to say my favorite song on it would be a song called Never Come Back. It's just this 5-minute groove using these like chopped up vocals for stabs and stuff. Very, very cool album, very cool track overall. And then my final album of the year is a band called The Midnight. They released an album called Monsters. It's very, very synthwave. If you listen to the album Vibe City that I put out, this is very much in that style. Very upbeat. You know, you expect to hear this released in the 80s on like cassette tape. So yeah, great album. Just it's hard to say which is my favorite song on it, but I think it's either Monsters, the title track on the album, or America Online, just using all these nostalgic bits of like I think they use a dial-up sound. Not vaporwave. It's called synthwave.
Yeah, okay. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not quite vaporwave, but
I was just thinking because of like this that nostalgic, almost like hauntological idea of like using and remixing old sounds into new context to create like Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
there's
vaporwave is that kind of feel, but it tends to be a lot slower and more
Hmm.
melancholy. Whereas synthwave tends to be a lot more upbeat, really driving bass lines and drums.
yeah.
That's sort of where they diverge. But yeah,
Cool.
definitely still same sort of thing, and in terms of the nostalgic aspect
Yeah.
of it.
Very cool.
There's my education rearing its awesome head. I mean, ugly head. Yeah. So let's count them up. I think
Alex wins.
I think Alex
because
won.
if he's the last one to be giving like recommendations, that probably means he won.
How many
Well-
points did you get, Alex?
I got 4 points because the
How-
only
Yeah.
one that wasn't anyone else's was a virus.
How
I
many? What
got
did,
4 points as well.
I only got
I got-
3.
I got 3.
Alyssa. So Alyssa's out of the band.
Oh,
Never.
Yeah, basic.
Yes, he's
Yeah. No, that also could have just happened because the way we like picked our albums, like strategically, you could have said certain ones at certain times. So if you picked one,
I was.
But because I picked virus first, does that mean I get a point for that?
no, you don't get a point
Okay.
if somebody else had it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
All right,
right.
that's how.
Anyway, I just thought we would like make it a fun kind of discussion using a game. I already have ideas for next year, and we haven't even heard the albums that are coming out next year. Although we've heard some musings and hints about what could be coming, and it looks like 2021 is going to be a huge year for some bands. So
I mean,
I
I
was
can
gonna-
already tell you that Liquid Tension will be on my list. I can
Transatlantic,
already-
Liquid
It-
Tension.
Yeah,
we're-
LTE 3 is going to be on the list for sure. It's
Yeah.
it's already there, and I haven't even heard it.
yeah, Situ A is coming out with a new album. Sungazer is going to release a full-length album. Pomegranate Tiger is apparently going to be releasing something. Like, it's going to be a good year.
I heard
I'm
that we're
hoping
releasing something
Coheed.
next year, maybe.
Say that again, Alex?
I heard that we're releasing something next year too, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Yes.
If we can get our shit together.
Other like Between the Buried and Me's got a new one. Mastodon will have a new one as well coming out.
Yeah, man.
Trying to think who else is like. There's so much good music that's coming down. I was just gonna ask like if anyone has any like anticipated albums for next year's. Like of course Liquid Tension and Transatlantic.
Transatlantic's Absolute Universe. Transatlantic is probably, if they released more music, they might be my favorite band of all time, but they only release music once every 10 to 4 years, so.
Yeah, so it's a bit
I'll have to
hard.
look
Yeah.
and see. I think Coheed is releasing their second part to the Vaxis album that just
Nope.
came out.
Yeah. So 2021 should be really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does
Well,
anyone
it's got
have
a
any-
lot to make up? So
Does anyone have any honorable mentions that they like need to say?
I mean, we
Hang on.
don't need to say
There's
that.
one that I do want to mention because I think it's just important to do, which is Prospects. They're like a local band that released an EP, and it wasn't on my list, but it was an honorable mention because I just think like their music is tight. They're a local band, and I think it's always important to represent local music. So go and listen to Prospects. They
yeah.
that was a dope album, EP.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll jump on there with Prospects also is that they've just very similar to our band situation. They've just very recently, since the lockdown, have become like a full-fledged 5-piece prog band. So it'll be great to see kind of their follow-up work because now they've got like a keyboard player who sings, they got the 2 guitar players, the bassist, the drummer. So rather than, because I think Prospects was originally just one guy who did everything, and now it's like they've got 5 full members that can kind of contribute in different ideas, kind of similar
Very
to our
cool.
situation. So I'll be curious to see the follow-up there.
The follow, yeah.
In that case, I would like to have it kind of in the same vein of that. I would like to have an honorable mention myself. Again, this person album would have made it if we were allowed to do top 10, would have made it on. But another artist, kind of local, that I like to bring some attention to is it's a band called Sunsetter. It's Sun with 2 N's, kind of similar to Sun Gazer. I think they
Yeah.
spell it with 2 N's. And the album is called "The Love You Withhold Is the Pain You Carry."
Oh damn.
Yeah, that's a long title. But so he's a one-man project. He's a local artist here in Hamilton, and it's kind of really like kind of trippy, alternative, kind of spacey prog kind of stuff. it's kind of very simplistic in some senses, but like there's a lot of layering with like vocals and guitars, and he plays drums himself, but he has a very unique approach to drums, and he has very unique placements in terms of where he puts his downbeats and stuff. So I really enjoy coming back to his work, and he releases like little snippets of things, but this was like a full-fledged album for him, and I thought he did a really good job.
Very nice.
What was that called again? I want to write it down.
So the band is Sunsetter, and the title's long, so I'm just gonna double check it here just to make sure I give it to you exactly the way it's supposed to be. So it is okay. So the title is "The Love You Withhold."
Yep.
Is the pain that you carry.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's, if nobody else has anything else to mention, I'm just going to say it's been great hanging out with all four of you guys, having all five of us in one amphitheater again. And in nature, no less, which is awesome. Got to keep that social distancing. And thank you so much for joining us. I hope at the very least you have some awesome new music to hear, and you anticipate more music from us, and more awesome music coming in 2021. Stay safe out there, and Happy New Year from Robot Philosopher. Okay, peace out.
Bye.
Bye.